Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages. I am Kenny Brown, and I am back here. We are back here. Me and Shane are back here with another beautiful podcast for the KWC. And today we are going to go over the draft and how incredible it was. And then we are also going to talk about Backlash, which is happening this Saturday. So, the WWE 2024 draft just occurred, and these are the rosters. Raw roster, we'll start with Raw, and as people may know, if you didn't know or didn't hear, the champions were ineligible. The only champions that were available to switch brands were the women's tag team champions, which are the Kabuki Warriors. So right now, Raw happens to be, the World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest, the Women's World Champion Becky Lynch, the Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, the World Tag Team Champions Awesome Truth, which are R-Truth and The Miz, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins, Liv Morgan, Ricochet, Alpha Academy, which includes Chad Gable, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree, Kiana James, Sheamus, Braun Breaker, Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, Alba Faya and Isla Dawn, Ivar, Imperium, which I found this one interesting, which is just Gunther and Ludwig. So that means that they're what's his name?
Giovanni.
Giovanni, thank you. I was gonna say Da Vinci. He's officially out of Imperium, which I found it really interesting that they kept LWO's Carlito in after what we saw last week, but we'll get to that.
Yep.
CM Punk, Damage Control, which includes Io Sky, the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai. So if they lose, which they probably will, if they lose the Women's Tag Team Championships, they will remain on Raw. But because they are the Women's Tag Team Champions, they're able to float between brands. I'm not sure if I said him, but CM Punk, Braun Strowman, who made his return, the LWO, Rey Mysterio, Zelina Vega, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, and Carlito, Drew McIntyre, The Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Dominic, and JD McDonough. And weirdly enough, it leaves out Rhea Ripley, which I don't know why, which is so interesting to me because I don't know if they messed that up because she's not a champion. So why is her name not in there? And people can say, oh, because she's injured, but so is Seth Rollins. And Seth Rollins is also announced as staying on SmackDown. Sorry, as staying on Raw. So I was very confused on why Rhea Ripley's name wasn't included inside of the Judgment Day. We also have Elijah Dragunov, or Ilya, sorry. The New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi. Lyra Valkyria, who's a new. The Final Testament, Karrion Kross, Scarlett, Akam, Razor, Paul Ellering. Bronson Reed, Natalia, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, Odyssey Jones, Dijak, who I don't know why Dijak was not announced live. He should have been, in my opinion, but that's just me. Julius Creed, Brutus Creed, and Ivy Nile. The new Catch Republic, which includes Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. That is just Raw. So just by that list alone, Raw wins the 2024 Draft Awards, if there was any. Triple H, in my opinion, knew what he was thinking by pitting Sheamus, Drew McIntyre, Gunther, Elijah Dragunov, and the new Catch Republic, which includes Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, all on the same roster. Those matches are going to be incredible. We talked about earlier, me and Shane talked about how Alpha Academy and wherever Alpha Academy went, Julius Creed and Brutus Creed needed to go because we think that they're going to end up teaming up with Chad Gable. It's going to be really cool too because I didn't even consider Ivy Nile. And I'm like, Ivy Nile can easily take the Maxine Dupree place if and when Chad Gable goes down to Julius Creed and Brutus Creed. A stable that I was surprised to see was the Final Testament, because I thought for sure they were going back to NXT. So I was it was interesting to me to see the Final Testament stay on Raw or be announced as a Raw draft pick. Raw, also, I mentioned Rhea Ripley earlier. Raw is in desperate need of women. And I'm very happy to see a lot of NXT call-ups like Kiana James and Lyra Valkyria. I know a lot of people aren't familiar with their work, but for people who do watch NXT, you guys know that they're actually fire. And now, hopefully, underneath Triple H's umbrella, he can start putting them on TV, and they won't be as irrelevant as a Candice LeRae and wow, completely spaced on her name. Candice and
Indy Hartwell.
Thank you, Indy, because they've done nothing with them. What are your thoughts about the Raw roster in itself?
I think you hit it on the head. Just those British talent that are on that roster is going to be must-see TV. When they finally get their hands together, like hands on each other, it's going to be great.
It's going to be phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to it. Raw has a stacked roster. One thing that I am happy about, at least with the Raw side, is that we do see a lot of tag teams. They just resplit the tag team division. So we do have some tag teams to challenge the Awesome Truth. So at least there is some stable of a tag team division that's on Monday Night Raw. As far as Damian Priest goes, he has some people that he could work with, and Becky and Liv Morgan are in this factor right now. You know, initially I thought it was stupid when Becky Lynch won the Battle Royal for the championship, but it made sense that Liv Morgan is actually going to be working with Becky, and Liv Morgan better beat Becky at Backlash, or else this entire thing was stupid.
Yep.
That's all I'll have to say about that. We'll move to SmackDown. SmackDown, their roster is the undisputed WWE Universal Champion Cody Rhodes, the WWE Women's Champion Bayley, the United States Champion Logan Paul, and the WWE Tag Team Champions A-Town Down Under, which include Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Then you have Bianca Belair, the big three: Bianca, Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill. You have the newly acquired Carmelo Hayes. You have Randy Orton. You have the newly acquired Nia Jax. You have L.A. Knight.
Yeah.
You got the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Paul Heyman. You have AJ Styles. You have the newly acquired Andrade. You have the OC, which is Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Meechin. And Meechin just went back down to NXT to challenge for the NXT Women's North American Championship. So it's really giving, is NXT just a filler for anyone to go down to? Just to help them get main title or main names on the show so that way it can pop viewers and have people work with the new talent. That's what it seems like. So I'm just assuming NXT is a flex plan, because I just talked about the OC. The OC just went down there and beat an NXT tag team that was down there. So it's really confusing on, we're having this draft. And granted, I understand the draft does not take place until after Backlash. But for me, I'm like, it doesn't make sense to have the OC go down to the tag team division and beat one of their tag team if they're going to be stabilized as a SmackDown tag team stable. So it just didn't make sense to me. Continuing, we have Baron Corbin, newly acquired, returning. Cedric Alexander and Ashante the Adonis, which I'm surprised they remembered about, because me and you were very like, did they forget about this team? What happened to them? We have Kevin Owens. We have them officially calling these guys the Pride, which includes Bobby Lashley, Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, and B-Fab. So they're officially calling them the Pride. On social media, they were referring to themselves as the Pride, but they're actually calling them that on TV, which I'm like, okay, finally we are acknowledging that they are legitimately as stable and calling them something. We have Shane's favorite women's wrestler of all time, Tiffany Stratton. Legado del Fantasma, Santos, which includes Santos Escobar, Angel, Berto, and Elektra Lopez. We got the newly acquired Shinsuke Nakamura, Naomi. Oh, I already said that earlier. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, who are newly acquired, which once again, Chelsea is challenging for the NXT Women's Championship in NXT. So make it make sense, please. And then also, I'm going to say this now. I would really love to see a match between Piper Niven and Nia Jax
Ooh, let them cook.
because they're both on the same roster, and I would
Mhm.
I would love to see that happen.
Yes.
We have Pretty Deadly, Elton Prince, and Kit Wilson. We got Candice and Indy, who are new to the SmackDown roster. We also have DIY, which is Tommaso and Johnny. We have newly acquired Blair Davenport, newly acquired Apollo Crews, and I'm not going to lie, I forgot he was even signed. Newly acquired Giovanni Vinci, who is on a completely different brand than Imperium, which is interesting because I'm like, what is he going to do as a solo person? Because that's going to be very interesting to see. And then we have the newly acquired Tegan Knox. So when I look at the SmackDown roster, as far as tag teams, we have some, but I'm not really counting the Bloodline because they're doing their own thing. So not looking at the Bloodline, you got Cedric and Ashanti, you got the OC, you got the Pride, you got Legado, you got Pretty Deadly, and then you have DIY. That's 6 teams. So that's decent. And then 7 if you want to include the Bloodline, right? The women's division, you have the big 3, Bianca and Jade, who are going to win. That's my prediction. I know we're going to get into that, but that I feel like that's a given. They are literal superhero wrestlers. So I don't see why not put gold on them. And then you can work in whatever else afterwards. Outside of the big 3, you have not much. You got Tiffany. Obviously, there's Bailey. You got Nia. You got Piper Niven. I already said Tiffany. You got Candice and Indy, who aren't really doing much, but that's 6 women. And then you got the 2 newly acquired NXT women superstars, Blair Davenport and Tegan Knox. So that's 8 women. So the women's division, you got 8. Now, granted, a lot of them are going to need television time to be built up for people to care about them. Because as of right now, it's really only eyes are on Bailey, the big 3, Nia Jax, and Tiffany Stratton. Other than that, and maybe Chelsea Green. Other than that, the rest of them are an afterthought, and that's very sad. Speaking of afterthoughts, you know who's the biggest afterthought on this roster, and it's so sad to see?
No idea. Who?
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah.
10 years ago, this guy was one of the hottest commodities to WWE.
He was a Royal Rumble winner. Freaking! Did you notice? Include that on his little infographic when he got drafted?
I was just about to say that. They didn't even include that. They didn't even include the fact that he was a Royal Rumble winner. Because no one in the back cares.
Yeah. It's really sad.
It's really sad because I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, you can go against Randy. Yeah, you can go against Baron Corbin. Maybe you'll have something with Owens. That match would be good. But why are we going to care? You've been losing more than Solo Sikoa. Like, and that's saying something. I'm pretty sure Pretty Deadly, one of them is still injured, so I don't know when they're returning.
They're back. They're wrestling.
Okay, so they're back. So so the tag team division looks good. So I'm not really worried about that. LWO and Legado del Fantasma are finally split, so we don't have to worry about them fighting each other every week.
That was the best move of the draft.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Ray and Dominic now that they're back on the same roster. What are your thoughts about? Tell me about your thoughts. I'm gonna grab my food from the door, but tell me about your thoughts about the SmackDown roster and stuff.
I'm looking at the picture, the infographic that WWE posted on Twitter for the SmackDown draft picks, and It honestly looks very underwhelming when you just look at it as a list. I'm looking at Cody Rhodes and who would be, in my opinion, main event contenders, somebody that could challenge Cody, and I'm not seeing much. Randy obviously would be a good one. I guess we can consider LA Knight a main eventer now. I mean, I guess you got AJ Styles, obviously. You got Kevin Owens, which could easily be put into that position. Bobby Lashley as the Pride leader could be fit in there, but I'm not seeing very many other superstars that would be at that level. And I'm even looking at like mid card for Logan Paul, and I'm not seeing much on that end either. I don't know. It just SmackDown feels pretty underwhelming as compared to Raw.
Well, I mean, it's always going to feel like that in my opinion, and that the only reason why I say that is because it's a 2-hour show. So obviously, it's going to have the smaller portions of like the big names, but
Yeah, obviously.
they make it work. Now, granted, you mentioned all those people, right? You're
Mhm.
forgetting one huge person. Can you guess?
For main event,
Yeah.
Carmelo. Are we talking Carmelo?
I mean, we can talk about Carmelo, but he's not who I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
The tribal
Shinsuke?
chief, Roman Reigns.
Oh, because he'll probably be back on SmackDown when
Oh,
he comes back.
100%.
Yeah, that's true.
1,000,000% he's going back on SmackDown. One, Bloodline's there. That story writes itself.
Mhm.
Two, Cody's there. That story writes itself.
It's true.
Now, I didn't realize this either. And I don't know why. And granted, me and you both found out that there were a list of names of superstars that were available for each night to be drafted. Jimmy Uso
It's not drafted.
is
He's a free.
not drafted. He's a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming he goes to Raw to ask Jay for help. But how do they even do that? Or does he just go back to Raw and team up with Jay? Like, I know I'm getting way ahead of myself, but my thing is when Jimmy does return, I'm looking forward to what they do with him.
I don't think you're speaking too far out of line. It ties into one of my Backlash predictions, but I have a feeling we'll see Jimmy sooner rather than later. Personally,
The thing about it is, and granted, I know me and you will always say it doesn't matter. They are trying to treat this
draft.
thank you, like it's a big thing. And it's Triple H's first draft, even though it was very lackluster and 95% of the roster stay the same, right? Now it's like, okay, well, now the draft is over. Let's see what you guys are cooking in the kitchen. Because now I'm just sitting here like, what are y'all going to do with these guys? Because looking at the roster for SmackDown, I didn't expect I expect Carmelo Hayes, but I did not expect him to be in the main event facing Cody Rhodes
Yeah,
the very first night. Main eventer.
I agree.
That was granted. The botch was on Cody. The shoulder botch. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And thankfully he looked like he was legitimately injured, and thank God not, because if he gets injured, SmackDown is screwed. Like, honestly, if he gets injured, like, I honestly say, look, give it to AJ or LA Knight. Those are the two superstars that I can legitimately say this makes sense if you put it on one of those two. Everyone else that's on this list, maybe even Randy. I'll even give it to Randy, but the only reason why I don't want to give it. And side note, speaking of tag teams, Rated RKO is back.
I don't know what they're calling themselves, but I saw that T-shirt and I loved it.
Yeah, because I know it's not Rated RKO, but it's rated. But like that's what it reminded me of. I was like,
Yeah.
it's RKO. That's the name. Like that's the name. That's the name I'm giving them is RKO, and I think that's really clever of how they did that. So that's a tag team in itself right there. Granted, I don't necessarily know how long they're going to be a tag for, but they have their stuff going on with the bloodline right now. So I feel like it's just a hey, we're gonna get to Backlash, which is a great. Wait, now before we get to Backlash, let's talk about the call ups. Carmelo Hayes, Baron Corbin, Kiana James, Elijah Dragunov, Lyra Valkyria, Dijak, and Blair Davenport. I would say this: sorry, I don't know why I keep on calling him Elijah. Ilya Dragunov has done everything there needs to be done in NXT. That was a given. That was a given. Same thing with Carmelo Hayes. Given. Braun Breaker was already up, so I'm glad that they didn't include him in here. What didn't make sense to me, though, what really, really didn't make sense to me is like they had him sign a contract for SmackDown like 3 weeks ago, and he got traded right to Raw.
Yep.
And I was just, yeah, and I was just like, oh, what was the point? You should have just saved him for the draft, because he went right back down to NXT. So it didn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me. Kiana James, she's done everything that she can do. Same thing with Lyra. I think Lyra and Becky are going to go round 2, but for the main roster, and I really hope that they do. Kiana, I wish these are the days where I wish Tiffany was on Raw, because Kiana and Tiffany would go insane. I'm hoping Kiana does some stuff with like Liv or somebody, but Kiana, I feel like, is going to have a harder time getting recognized and getting used than Lyra Valkyria will.
I agree.
Dijak, he's incredible. He's amazing. That man is a 6'7" cruiserweight, and it doesn't make sense.
Put him in there with Ivar,
bro.
Johnson,
they would
Ricochet.
Cook.
Oh my gosh.
Give me Ricochet. Give me Ivar. Hell, put him in there with Sheamus. Put him in there with freaking. You know who I want to see him in there with? I want to see him in there with Bronson Reed.
Yes.
Or Odyssey Jones. Like.
Yeah. Why isn't Odyssey Jones doing
anything? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know. Like. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Odyssey Jones. I haven't seen him do anything recently. So yeah, I don't know if he was injured. Because he was not a NXT quote unquote call up.
No, because he got drafted last year.
Yeah. So
he got called up last year and did jack anything.
I don't know if there was some Vince McMahon shenanigans of, this is what we're going to do. This is not what we're going to do. This is going to work, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, he's been there. Like he's another,
Cameron Grimes.
Not only that, oh, bless his heart, dude. Did you see the video?
Dude, it was hard to watch.
Oh, it was so hard to watch. And what really sucked, and I don't know if Triple H is going to correct it or not, is the fact that like he had just got told, oh yeah, you always have a place in the WWE, and then 5 days later he gets released.
Yep, that sucks.
That sucked, dude. I felt for him. And the last person that did that, who was that? We had somebody get released and went on social media and made a very emotional video and got re-signed.
Was it Braun? No. It was the old AOP manager. What was his name?
AOP manager?
Yeah.
AOP has always had Paul Ellering.
No, they had another guy. He was a cruiserweight. Drake, he pissed himself in a match against Big Show.
What?
Yeah, I think it was Drake Maverick.
Oh, you're right. Drake Maverick. Yes. Drake Maverick. Yes. I remember him. But yes, that's exactly who I was referring to. He's the one who got released, went online, because he's an amazing talent. He's an outstanding, amazing talent. I don't know where he is in the world today, but he's an amazing talent. And I was kind of hoping Cameron Grimes would have got the same treatment. Now
it's still early.
It's still early. Now, speaking about NXT call-ups, Dijak, he's just absolutely phenomenal. Baron Corbin is back. And
it's weird calling him an NXT call-up again.
Yeah, but he went down there, re-envisioned himself, kicked ass, had a great ton of matches, and I'm very interested to see. I could see him being a United States champion in the future. Oh,
for sure. I hope this is the resurgence that he needs. I hope the main roster crowd doesn't shit on him again.
Yeah, and there's a part of me that was kind of hoping they would keep him and Braun together and push the tag team division, and then have like a battle between them, and then they split up.
Yep.
Like I was kind of hoping they could do the tag team thing, but on the main roster, because I feel like Austin Theory and Grayson Waller versus Baron Corbin and Braun. I mean, granted, like it wouldn't be believable because Braun Breaker would break through everyone, and I understand that's why they are splitting him up, because the way he just Ashanti, was it, or Cedric, that he murdered in 10 seconds.
Yeah, Cedric.
So I was just like, okay, we haven't seen him in ages. Where have you been? And we finally see you on TV and you get murdered within 10 seconds, which is how Braun Breaker should be used. But at the same time, me and you have both watched Braun Breaker matches in NXT. Like, he can go longer. So booking him like a Goldberg, I don't know if that's going to be a positive thing or a negative thing.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good problem to have, I think.
I agree.
Because they can use him either way. I don't know. I think out of the draft, the 3 people from NXT, do we consider Braun Breaker an NXT call-up? Because he really didn't do much. I'm going to consider him a call-up.
Sure.
Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, and Ilya Dragunov. Those are the 3 to watch. And I hope there's plans for them moving forward.
I do have a general question for you.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know if I asked you this. No, I did. But overall, if you could just fantasy book just with the call-ups, like, what would you have them do within like the next 2 weeks?
Oh, jeez, that's hard. That's a tough one. I think I would just put all of them in like showcase matches, I think, for a few weeks, just to have them get in there, give them 10-15 minutes and just let them cook.
Yeah.
Show them what they can do. This is the kind of talent that you're getting. Let the crowd get behind them. I think that worked really well with the Creeds. I think it worked really well with the reformation of DIY.
Yeah.
Just putting them in the ring and letting them wrestle. Let the talent speak for themselves.
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, because it's hard to see where they're going storyline-wise with some of these. The only draft pick I'm worried about getting lost in the shuffle is Kiana James. She's the one that I'm not the most knowledgeable about. I feel like she could have used a little bit more time in NXT. She's the one that feels out of place to me with the call-ups.
For me, I will say this. These are the days where I wish WWE would introduce a Women's Intercontinental Championship. I hope it's coming because NXT has something of the sort, but yes, Kiana would have been perfect for that.
Is she the 401k, the CEO businesswoman kind of gimmick? Is that her?
So
I'm just not familiar with her.
Yeah. So Kiana James. Sorry, I'm eating.
What are you eating? What'd you get?
I have to eat some pad thai. But Kiana James, she's amazing.
Is she?
She's a superstar. And I will say this.
She's a tag team, right?
Former tag team champion, yeah. And do you know who Deonna Purrazzo is?
Yeah.
From like TNA?
TNA, AEW.
She reminds me of Deonna Purrazzo, but in a WWE form.
Okay.
Now, I will say this. This woman, she can fight. So I think if they just, like you were saying, if they just give her time to, work, the crowd will get over her. Because I'm talking about, like, this woman, I remember watching a match with her and Zoe Stark. And she hit Zoe Stark with a what is it? The Spanish fly off the top rope. And it looked perfect. Picture perfect.
Okay, so it's like they got a good pick then out of her.
Oh yeah. Now, I don't know how far back in NXT you go. But I don't know if she was a part of them, but she and wow, I can't believe I've forgotten her name. She's the ginger with the orange hair.
Gigi Dolan.
Gigi Dolan. Her and Gigi Dolan had a lot of like back and forth in NXT. And honestly, she's good. I would say that. I'll just say that she's good. And when she does get a match, I definitely think that you would be very impressed.
All right, I'm putting her on my.
Yeah, I would definitely keep a good lookout. Now and Shane, when you see, I would just go take a look at her Instagram. Kiana James, she definitely has like wrestling clips and stuff like that. Definitely go check it out because she's badass. I just hope, like you said, she doesn't get lost in the shuffle. That's the only thing. Now, speaking of shuffle, Backlash. We are going to Backlash in France. They are there now doing promo for it. And
SmackDown tomorrow night.
Yeah. And it's going to be super, super duper awesome. Oh, wait. SmackDown tomorrow night is in France, huh?
Yeah, I think they're there now, aren't they?
Thank God. I was so worried that they were going to do the whole, let's do a pre-taped and then just do the PLE in France and call it a day. I think it makes sense to have it both nights to get the town like accustomed to the time zone and all that stuff versus, all right, we're going to pre-tape the SmackDown and then just go there for one day and then come right back. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's still a long flight. I think it's like 9 hours.
Yeah. So we have, well, let's start from the bottom, then work my way up. Now, I'll let you know right now, surprisingly, and we have 5 matches that have been announced.
Yeah. Very SmackDown heavy.
Oh, and you want to know why? Because we're back on the brands. Backlash is a SmackDown show.
Is it? It's
a SmackDown. That's what I was going to talk to you about. I don't know if we are going back to brand specific PLEs, but that's what it's looking like because the only Raw match on this card is Damon Priest versus Jey Uso. Everything else is SmackDown.
I noticed that, yeah.
So I wasn't sure if this was hey, we are slowly going back into brand specific PLEs, or if this was just a one-time thing. So we'll see. We will see. Because I remember back in the day, Backlash was a SmackDown PLE. So maybe they're doing that again. And that was going to be my additional question for you too, was now that we have the brand back, are we going to have brand specific PLEs again? Are they going to fork over that TKO money and give us more PLEs throughout the year? I like the schedule how it is now because all of those unnecessary ones, no offense, but Judgment Day, Backlash, No Mercy. Like we didn't need all of that. All the filler. You know what I mean? We didn't need all the filler. So like I feel like every PLE now is a big ticket item. But
I think they have the ability to be a big ticket item. I don't know. Like just looking at the card straight down, I feel like it's extremely predictable. Extremely predictable.
I mean, so was WrestleMania. We had a great time watching it.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next comment. I'm sure going to France for the first pay-per-view in France ever, it's going to be a hot crowd. So even though it's going to be predictable, I have a feeling we're going to have a hell of a lot of fun watching it just because of the crowd. But I don't know. We'll see.
With that said, we have. Wait a minute. I said 5 matches. There's more than 5 matches. What am I talking about?
Is there more than 5 matches?
Wait, is the Intercontinental Championship not on the card?
Dude, I thought it was, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere.
I don't think it is. Announced.
I don't know where But we're not the only ones to say that. I think they might have announced it and then changed their mind.
Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, Gargano and Ciampa just won a triple threat tag team match to earn a shot at The Miz and R-Truth. So I'm like, is that supposed to be on Raw or is that happening at Backlash? And then on top of that, the Street Profits just defeated the Authors of Pain, Legado de Phasma, and New Cash Republic in a fatal 4-way tag team match to become the number 1 contenders for A-Town Down Under's WWE Tag Team Championships. So I'm just like, is that happening on SmackDown or Backlash? Question mark. And then
Well, I don't think it happen. I don't think it can happen on Backlash because DIY just got drafted to SmackDown, so they can't win R-Truth and Miz titles.
okay, well that gives us that.
This whole drafting's a headache, dude.
Yeah, I don't know why they gave us that match because that's a predictable. Like that match should be on the card because we like after Backlash, it's going to be irrelevant. Like why?
That's how I feel. Like back in the Vince McMahon era, we would get 12 match cards.
Oh God.
And 8 of those matches would not even matter because they would be made the night before, the day of, the pre-show of, and then it wouldn't make any sense. Triple H has done a really good job of like making these pay-per-views short, like concise, but there are times like this PLE where I feel like we could have more than 5 matches and be okay.
And you know what
Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know what that tells me? It's going to be like Elimination Chamber. Where we're going to get a 3-hour PLE with a shit ton of background and backstage segments that are long, and then a match. Because you got to remember, the Elimination Chamber didn't have that many matches on it.
No, you're right.
It was like 90 minutes of matches, and everything else was filler. So as much as I love Triple H for keeping these cards short and sweet, at the same time, I'm like, nah, baby, fill them up a little bit because we're not watching to see the backstage segments. That's what you have SmackDown and Raw for. Your PLE should be about the matches. I can understand 1 or 2, maybe even 3, and possibly 4 and 5. If the 4 and 5, bless you, by the way, especially if the 4 and 5 develop in a storyline, but just for the filler, no, I'm not with it. You know what I mean?
Oh no, that's why I love AEW PLEs because they move, they go.
Now
they match after match after match. Yeah, I think the WWE could add something to them.
So, at least for right now,
take away from the predictability of it all.
Yeah,
I think we've had this conversation. A lot of their PLEs recently have been very predictable.
Now, for now, we'll just talk about this predictable ass PLE. We have Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and MFT Tama Tonga. What are your thoughts?
Before I give my prediction, did they ever say what MFT stands for?
It's from like it's his name, essentially. Like he's from Japan and all this stuff, right? And from the Indies, on the streets, they call him motherfucking Tonga. So that's what it's MFT, motherfucking Tama Tonga, because he's that dude. That's what it means.
That makes more sense.
And honestly, he is. So I'm not gonna argue it.
It's been 2 weeks since his debut, and I'm impressed. So I also think that they're gonna win.
Time out. Did you expect any less? He's the son of Haku.
He's terrifying. He's a terrifying man.
He's the son of Haku. Did you expect any less?
Nope, because any other answer would get me killed. So the correct answer is
right.
I did not expect anything else. No, I think Solo and Tama Tonga, the Bloodline, are gonna win. With this new shifting character for Solo and introducing Tama Tonga to the mix, I think it would be stupid to have them lose their first match.
I definitely agree with you. However, actually, no, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. I think Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are going to do a great job of making them look good. They'll definitely add some drama into the mix because it is Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. But I do think it's going to be the Bloodline that take it.
I think Kevin Owens and Randy Orton are going to win because of a mishap and interference by the returning Jimmy Uso.
Okay.
I think Jimmy Uso plays a part in the Bloodline losing, setting up for the future Civil War that's going to happen.
Hold that thought, because I got something to add to that later.
Okay. Now, I do agree with your statement. However, I can see them doing what I said. So,
100%. It's Triple H. Who knows?
No one does. This dude brought fucking motherfucking Tamatonga to the WWE. Hello. Then we have the women's tag team championships: the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. This is the most predictable match on the card. If Bianca and Jade do not win, something is wrong, or someone got injured.
Yeah.
So
I have nothing to add. It's Jade and Bianca, 1000%.
Yeah, I'm just so excited just to see their. I wonder if they're going to come up with an entrance, or they're just going to continue enter. Like, I can see them entering separately because of how amazing Jade and Bianca's individual entrances are. But I think it would be really cool to start like using the fact that, hey, we have two superhero women on our roster. Let's use that, make a sick ass The Rock Final Boss-esque entrance, and come up with a theme that's not by Def Rebel. And dude, the one person that people hate more than Vince McMahon is Def Rebel.
Honestly, I think you're right. Which is ridiculous.
And it's, but we, God, they're so terrible. Now I will say this. The only theme I like out of Def Rebel is the Rock theme that they remixed for Stephanie.
Is that It did sound different, and I was trying.
They added a rock like ambiance to it, so there's drums, and you can 100% tell the difference if you listen to the old one and listen to the new one. It's night and day.
I still remember her "I'm All Grown Up,"
but at the same time, it's so hilarious knowing that Stephanie McMahon is not even like against the bug of Def Rebel. Like, not even she can get away from it. But it's not bad. Hers isn't bad. There's a lot of them that aren't bad, but the majority of them are terrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I feel like there's a few good ones out there, like Romans. Isn't Romans a Def Rebel?
I don't know, but if it is, then I'm a fan of them.
Yeah, but again, for the most part, like, they're just so generic and
I hate them.
Bland.
Because DIYs and then Braun Breakers? Hello?
Why did they change? Like, seriously?
Don't know.
None of their theme songs were broken. Why did they have to change them? I don't get it.
Then we have a triple threat match that I thought was going to be a Fatal 4. Not going to lie. Thought this was going to be a Fatal 4, but it's actually a triple threat. We have Bayley versus Tiffany Stratton versus Naomi for the WWE Women's Championship.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
this one might be the hardest one to pick for me.
Same.
But I still think it's pretty predictable.
I think Bayley's going to win. However, I want Tiffany to.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Granted, there's a part of me that says it's a little bit still too early, but fuck it, dude. Give it to her and let her ride.
I think we're going to see Tiffany Stratton with the Money in the Bank. I think if I'm going to pick a Money in the Bank winner right now for the women, I'm going to go Tiffany Stratton. It makes sense.
I would say it's rather going to be Tiffany or Jade.
You think Jade? I was thinking, okay, we can talk about that later. But yeah, no, I think...
Tiffany's up the top of my list, 1,000,000%. Tiffany's 1,000,000% Tiffany. But if Jade Cargill is in that match, it's going to make that 1,000,000% be a little bit more weary. I don't know if she's ready for a match like that. However, she's been improving. Speaking of improving, holy shit. Have you seen Maxine Dupree lately?
Oh yeah, it feels like since that Twitter rampage against her, she has.
Night and day. She did. I watched her against that last match she had where she did the kick up and the reverse caterpillar. She looks good. Granted, she's definitely one of the women's wrestlers that is the champion of the Divas stopwatch, where it's just like, okay, baby, you can't go over 3 minutes or else it's going to be terrible. So I'm going to time you. Go. However, she's improving. But yes, Bayley, Tiffany, and Naomi Unfortunately, no matter who's gonna win, Tiffany or Bailey, right? I think
Yeah,
Naomi is taking the fall.
I agree, and I think it's sad. I know we have this conversation. I feel like we have this conversation a lot, but I hope coming out of Backlash, there's bigger plans for Naomi
I do
moving
too.
forward.
And once again, these are the days that I wish we had a women's intercontinental championship.
Because she'd
That
be a perfect candidate.
I wish that intercontinental championship had the same rules as the tag team. It could float between brands.
Yep, agreed. Completely, completely.
Because because it's just like, all right, Naomi, you're here to work, you're here to pit people over, you're here to this. But we gave you the win at Mania. Cool. You're gonna lose here. Got it.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Bailey, you've been going through hell. You're the Royal Rumble winner. We gave you the win at Mania. We gave you a custom entrance. Cool. I can see her keeping it. But Bailey, for me, I love babyface Bailey. I'm so happy she's back. But I think babyface Bailey as a chaser is more appealing than babyface Bailey as the champion.
You took the words out of my mouth. Bailey's title win was all about the chase in the moment. I don't expect her to hold it long. But I don't know if Backlash is too early.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
Then I'm going to skip this one because I want to talk about it last. So we're going to go to the one that's more of an L. World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest versus Jey Uso.
Yeah.
I would be foolish to say Damian Priest doesn't retain here.
I agree.
I thought you were about to say Jay's going over. I was like, what?
No, this is the match I think we're going to see Jimmy get involved.
Really?
Yes. My reasoning for this is I think if I am remembering the last month of TV, Jay is the only member of the quote-unquote bloodline storyline that has not received a receipt for what happened at WrestleMania. Jay got his ass kicked because he lost at Mania. Solo's on this the streak of taking people out. Jay's the only one that's escaped the wrath so far.
But honestly, I see what you're saying, but it wouldn't make sense.
I think it does make sense.
The only for me, the reason why it doesn't make sense for me is because Jay's been out the bloodline for over a year.
I know, but he still has a direct correlation to Roman losing.
Yeah, he does, but I mean, I can see where it works, but I don't see Jimmy going in there and costing Jay the match, especially after getting beat down and literally kicked from the bloodline because in the draft his name wasn't there.
I know. I think Jimmy's gonna save Jay from a solo Tamatonga beatdown.
Oh,
that's what I think is gonna happen. And I think there's rumors. Is it Jacob, the younger brother, Jacob Fatu?
Yeah.
I think there's rumors that he's gonna make his debut at Backlash. So I think Jay is going to save Jimmy. Other way around. Sorry, I think Jimmy's gonna save Jay from a solo beatdown.
Now that I have clarification, because I thought you were saying Jimmy was going to jump on Jay, and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, that makes no sense.
Solo interrupting the match, I can see that happening. For me, I can see it happening, but at the same time, I'm like, they've been split apart for so long that the only way they came together, because like if you really think about it, Solo ain't got no beef with Jay. Solo got beef with John Cena. Like, Jay didn't touch Solo at all. Mm-hmm. So that's why it's hard for me to believe. I can understand the tie-in for him being in the bloodline. Maybe, I don't know. It'd be interesting. And maybe the new Samoan cost Randy and KO the match.
That could happen too.
So we'll see. It's always interesting with the bloodline. I remember us during WrestleMania weekend, we were sitting there saying, oh, we can't wait for the storyline to end. The bloodline is gonna be done after WrestleMania. And now we can't wait to see what they do with it next.
It's crazy how 3 weeks can change your opinion.
Literally.
It's crazy how 1 week. It changed my mind that Friday.
Yeah. And it's crazy because WrestleMania wasn't even a month ago and it feels like a year ago.
Seriously, you're right.
It feels like it was so long ago.
It wasn't. It wasn't even a month ago. That's insane.
And now we have what I'm assuming is going to be the main event,
I would assume so.
which is the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles.
I feel like another easy prediction here.
I think AJ Styles is going to win.
Shut up. Do you really? Are you pulling my chain here?
Yeah, I'm pulling your chain. There's no way.
Okay.
There's no way they're taking that championship off of Cody this early. I'd be fucking insane.
I was like, wait a minute.
I'd be fucking insane. Unless The Rock comes back right now and costs him it, and then sets up something for WrestleMania next year. Like, that's too early. And The Rock has already said that he's gone. So it wouldn't make sense for him to return in France, out of all places.
That is real.
Yeah, he already went on SmackDown and was like, I'll be gone for a little while. A little while is not 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or technically 2 weeks since that SmackDown.
He's filming another movie, right?
Yeah.
Of course he is. Yeah. I think they're going to get 20 minutes. I think it's going to be a fantastic match. I think AJ Styles, for as phenomenal, pun intended, as he is, I still feel like he can be underrated in the minds of WWE fans.
Agreed.
I think it's going to be a fantastic match, but I think Cody's going over easily.
I just want it to be a 5-star match. That's all.
Oh, I hope the crowd is so hot for both of them, and we just see what AJ Styles hasn't been able to do.
Because I feel like
it's the first time match ever, right? Like first time ever.
I think so.
So that's even more hype. Like hopefully they have great chemistry because I have very high expectations for this.
Yeah, and it's just like I feel like we don't get to see AJ Styles in the ring enough. Like he was injured for like what, a year or something crazy like that?
It feels like it's been very sporadic. Since he lost to who did he lose the championship to? The WWE championship. He beat Jinder. And then he lost it to was it I don't remember.
You said who did he lose it to?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Did he win it from Jinder or did he lose it to Jinder?
He beat Jinder. He beat Jinder in London, first time ever.
I'm assuming, was it Brock?
I don't know. I don't remember. I honestly, I think it was his year-long title reign.
Because
Daniel Bryan. He lost it to Daniel Bryan.
Oh.
When Daniel Bryan kicked him in the nuts. That's right.
Oh. That's how long it's been.
But I feel like since that title reign, yeah, that was freaking forever ago. But I think since that title reign, AJ Styles has been kind of just floating around.
Yeah. She's just been
Yeah. Dude, that was forever ago. 2016, 17, 16.
Oh, wow.
Kofi Mania.
And I know that he has publicly said that he wants to be a champion again, but it ain't gonna happen right now.
No, definitely not. Not Saturday.
So yeah, we'll lock those in. So
it's easy when we're all the same prediction.
Well, like I really think that the only one that we're different on is the RKO match. Like I really think Randy might go, because I just don't like if RKO wins, like because they both lost at Mania.
True.
So it's just like they also deserve a win, but so do Solo, because God knows we don't even know the last time Solo won a match. And
so
then,
did we see the Randy heel turn to set up Randy Cody?
I don't think it happens now.
I don't think. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think we see Cody lose the title until he has a Randy Orton.
Now, I will say we do get a Randy and Cody as Randy as a heel. Absolutely. Like, rewind the legacy and toss him in. Absolutely. We're definitely getting that.
It rates itself.
And Randy is, obviously Cody's not going heel, but even in the situation that he could, Randy makes a better heel than Cody Rhodes does any day.
100%.
I remember when Cody was a little bit of a heel in AEW, it didn't work because you're just a natural heel, my guy. I mean, natural face, my guy. Randy's very good at playing both.
Oh, he's a better heel.
Oh, absolutely. 1,000,000% better heel. Speaking of heel, I don't know if we talked about it. I think we did, but I just kind of want to talk about it one more time. I hope that Seth Rollins has a speedy recovery. And I really, 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 really hope that when he does return, he returns as a heel.
Oh, 1,000%.
I hope he returns as a heel. And you know who I would love to see him work with? You might be surprised by this answer. Or maybe
I have
not.
no idea. I have no idea where you're going with this one.
I want to see, not only do I want to see him work with Braun Strowman, but I desperately want to see him work with CM Punk.
Oh, yes.
I
You're right.
I need a CM Punk and Seth Rollins match sometime before Punk is done.
Yeah, I feel like Punk is going to be back sooner than we think.
I did too, because he was out there on Monday and he didn't have the arm sling.
It's coming up on 5 months already since his injury.
And he said that this time, I don't know if I read this in an article or where I heard this or saw this from, but rumors have it that it's a speedy recovery, which is good.
Great. Fantastic.
Speaking of speedy recoveries,
your boy,
Wes Lee, my man. When I saw that clip, the way I screamed in my bedroom, and I immediately sent that to y'all. Wesley is back from having a broken freaking back. And he was supposed to be out all year.
I thought he was going to be out for like 2. It's a back. Like, look how long Randy was out.
Yeah. And he's challenging fucking Oba?
That's going to be a
behemoth of a man? That's going to be a great match. Wes is going to bump his ass off. And listen, y'all might hate me for it, but I want Wes Lee to dethrone him. And that's going to be the Andre versus the Giant match right there. And I think Wes deserves it after being gone for so damn long. That's just me,
Look
though.
at the matches that he pulled out with Dijak. Like,
literally. Or even if you don't want to give him the if he loses there, okay, cool. Stick him right with Trick.
Oh.
Because him and Trick could go round for round for round.
I'm so happy Trick Williams won that title. You want to talk about a success story? I know we're bouncing all over the place.
No, it's great. I love talking about NXT because it makes people more aware. I could talk about NXT all day because Trick Williams is great. There's a clip going around where he's watching the reaction of his match and how the whole building was shaking because of how loud the crowd erupted when he won.
Yep.
I'm like, we are so behind Trick Williams. It's not even funny.
He is so... And a year ago, he was just Carmelo's lackey.
Yeah.
I don't want to say lackey. His shadow. I don't know. But just a year ago, he wasn't even really wrestling full time. And now look at him. Incredible.
Absolutely.
He's a success story.
Last success story that I really want to talk about, who is recovering from their injury as well. Charlotte Flair is on the speed racer highway to this recovery. But
I feel like when you're gonna start doing like a segment title song thing for every time you mention Charlotte Flair.
Dude, every time we do a podcast, she posts a new update.
Uh-huh.
And it's just like you have the Steiner cell syndrome or something. Like you tore your MCL and ACL, and it's been like 6 months, and you're walking without a crutch. What? And you're squatting and lifting weights?
Determined. She wants to be back.
I want her back at Royal Rumble, damn it. Like, take your time, please.
That's still like 8 months away. You don't want Charlotte on TV for 8 more months?
I would rather her prep, go to physical therapy, and make sure that it's good versus her coming back too early and then tweaking it. Because as someone who's torn their MCL, that ain't something you play with.
Yeah.
But Charlotte Flair is way more fitter and athletic than I could ever be. So she got it.
Do we shoot for a SummerSlam return Put her on SmackDown with Andrade.
Oh, well, she's going to SmackDown regardless because Andrade said that's where her husband is. So she's 100% going to SmackDown. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I hope so. I miss her.
Well, I mean, they keep the couples together, so they're not going to split. Oh,
did you know? Speaking of couples, that Tiffany Stratton and Ludwig Kaiser are a couple?
Yes, I knew that.
I did not know that until I watched her
Chris.
CVT.
Yeah. Speaking of couples, that just answered my question of where Jimmy's going because Naomi's on SmackDown. So Jimmy's going to SmackDown. That just answered my question. That just answered my question. But it's all good. It's all good. So we have the Backlash predictions, and then we talked about Friday Night SmackDown. A little bit of Raw. Nothing really happened on Raw. It was a boring show.
They need to revamp the draft. If they're going to continue to do the draft, I want them to go back to where it was in like the early to mid 2000s, where it was like a SmackDown guy versus a Raw guy, and the winner got a draft pick. I'd much rather them go back to that. Me too. I can't stand this draft thing. It's so boring.
Yeah, because this whole SmackDown. I mean, granted, I don't want to go back to the SmackDown versus Raw days, but they definitely need to. They definitely need to work on it. But with that said, we'll go ahead and close it up here, you guys. Remember, Backlash is a Saturday. Make sure you check your local times because it's early for us Americans, and thank God for that.
10 a.m.
10 a.m. for us, yeah. So 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time?
We're Eastern.
Huh?
We're Eastern. Are we Eastern?
Oh, 10 a.m. Eastern?
Wait, what are we?
We are Mountain. We're in Arizona, silly.
We're Pacific time.
No, we're in our own time zone.
I know, but we fall into the Pacific zone.
Oh, yes, we fall into the Pacific zone because we happen to be on the same time zone as the Pacific for right now.
Yeah, but we have our own.
But we have our own, yes. So, yes, make sure you guys check your local times to see where all that's going to go. And Shane, thanks for talking with me today. I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to texting you and Mahler in the group chat on Saturday. I'll probably text Mahler to remind him, hey, Saturday is actually at 10 a.m. and at 7 p.m. So make sure you're awake.
Is he our time zone as well?
No, so he's in Florida. So he's Eastern.
Also, shit. So it's like 1 o'clock for him.
Yeah. So I'm gonna have to make sure that he knows that it's a little bit earlier on in the day.
Are you working Saturday?
No, I'm off this weekend, so I'm good.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm good. And next week I move to nights, so that should be interesting. So days on my days off instead of after work, we'll do the podcast and whatnot.
Wow.
Yeah, nights is gonna be rough, but I'll get through it. You know, monsters and wrestling and cocaine. No, I'm kidding. All right, Shane, let's get out of here. I'm gonna go finish food. Thanks for being here, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, anytime.
All right, man. Later.
And
the rest of you guys, we see you guys next week on another podcast. We love y'all. Bye.